and happy to discuss. Since we're a small group, we would like to have this very collaborative. So feel free to jump in, ask questions, interrupt, and make this a conversation. We're organizing this from Factorial. I'm Jordi Romero. I'm the founder and CEO of Factorial. Factorial is an HR software platform started 3 years ago, and with the goal of helping companies around the world automate all their people processes and basically centralize all their people information. We started the company pretty small, serving only Spanish customers. Last year, we started selling globally. We have thousands of customers around the world right now, a team of 50-something people, and also expanding functionality, and we can talk a little bit more about that later, and also happy to answer questions that you guys have about the product. We also recently raised Series A, a new round of funding. To date, we had 3.5 million euro in funding, and soon we'll announce a much larger Series A, which also means that we're hiring. So anybody who's interested in joining a fast-growing company, so feel free to reach out to me later on. We have Carlos Marcos from Qonto today. Thanks for coming, Carlos. We'll introduce our products in a bit, and we also have Sergio Balcells from Welcome to the Jungle. How are you, Sergio? And we were supposed to have Rafael Gonzalez, but we didn't find him yet. So we might see him later on. So first of all, we're going to talk about onboarding and broad definition, broad concept. I think the key concept to understand and kind of give a little bit of context to the audience is to explain what our products are and what's the customer journey of these products. So from where they find us to where they eventually find value and they receive the value that they're paying for our product. So Carlos, why don't you start with Qonto?
Sure. Well, thank you very much for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be here with you today. As we are a small committee, I think it's good that there's interaction between us. First, I will explain what is Qonto, and then I move forward on how we acquire customers and how is our journey. Qonto is a neobank. We define neobank as a bank without a credit license. We are a payment institution, and what we do is to help customers, in this case, or in our particular case, it's B2B customers, so freelancers or SMEs, to have access to their banking suite in a much more effective way. So we offer a bank account, which in our case in Spain it's a local IBAN. We offer them also debit cards that they can use in order to make their expenses. And basically we facilitate all the day-to-day transactions in banking in a much more easy way for our customers. The second point that we differentiate against traditional banks is the fact that our pricing is super transparent. We position ourselves more like the Netflix of banking. Generally, when you're walking into a branch office, it's very difficult to understand what are you going to pay for your bank services. And generally, it's a freemium plan, so you got an account for free, but then there's a pool of services that are then commissioned down the line. In our case, it's a flat fee. And the third point is the customer support. What we understand is that the banking industry is changing a lot, and the fact is that they are suffering in order to make revenues, and basically this is translated to a poor customer service. In our case, we attend all our requests in less than 15 minutes by online or by email or by phone, and this positions us as the best solution if you want to fix an issue. And as an entrepreneur or as a business owner, that's pretty crucial.
So let's understand the product first, and then we talk about the customer journey, I think. Go ahead, Sergio.
Perfect. So I'm Sergio Balcells. I'm country manager for Welcome to the Jungle. What is Welcome to the Jungle? Welcome to the Jungle is a new thing. And what do we do? We are a media for employment company. What does it mean, a media for employment company? That we produce content. Content for who? Content for all the employment sector. What does it mean? Basically, two kind of stakeholders. Candidates or people interested in their professional career, because we not only have candidates but also passive candidates or people like us who may not be looking for a job but we are interested in knowing what's happening on the employment sector, and companies. Okay, that's very simple. And we produce content for the two of them. Our business model is quite simple. What we produce for the candidates is free. You can enter our website, welcometothejungle.com, and see all the articles, videos that we produce regarding how to write on LinkedIn, how to deal with a toxic boss, thousands and thousands of articles and videos. This is the freemium part where we create the value that attracts these candidates, these people to our media, and then we have the companies. Okay, we go from SMBs, from the startups, the smaller startups in the city, to the bigger clients in Spain, from SEAT and so on. And what is the rationale? What's the name? Where does it come from? Welcome to the Jungle. Very simple. The two founders, who are millennials, although that is a too much used word, I think, and then people younger than 30, they discovered that for many people, many young people, young talent, joining the employment, their labor life, it's kind of a jungle. Why? Because they are looking for purpose, for finding a company who shares their values and so on. And what are the companies looking for? Someone who's loyal, who's want to work there for a long time, especially the old-fashioned or the big corporates. And then there is kind of this mismatch where I'm looking for something and the company is looking for another thing. What we do in Welcome to the Jungle is make this market transparent, equalize the level of the candidate and the company. Before, the company just was asking for a CV, you were going to an interview, and it was a not very equal relationship. And right now with Welcome to the Jungle, what we do is showing how is the company in the inside, in the interior. We go to every single company. These two guys, their companies are clients of us, and we are very proud and happy to have them on board. We have more than 3,000 clients. What we do is go to every company, every single client, and do videos of their management, photos of their environment, so that a candidate, whether millennial or not, can project himself in the company, see how it is, the company inside. Because, sorry, it's just the fact that your life is marvelous or is miserable, it does not depend on your charge, if you're in your position, if you're a community manager or CFO, CPO, whatever. It depends on where do you do it and with who do you do it. And if you do it with the people and in the place where you share values, you will be happy. Otherwise, you will not. And we make this visible for you, that you can see the company, how it is in the interior before applying or before joining. Sorry.
Perfect. No, I think that covers the product. So one of the key differences, I think, what started the customer success movement a few years ago was the introduction of software as a service. Is one of the figures that Salesforce famously developed and grew a lot, and they went from zero to thousands to tens of thousands of customer success experts. Is the fact that typically technology was sold transactionally. Companies bought tens of thousands or millions of dollars worth of technology, and then they had a project to roll out the technology, and then the risk for the success of this rollout was 100% on the customer, because the vendor already made the big check, and maybe they had some maintenance, but that was a small part of their revenue. With the increase of software as a service as a business model and subscription in general, this risk became the vendor's risk, right? Because you can sell in Factorial, we're pure SaaS, which means that the customers pay us monthly or annually. If they pay us monthly, for example, and they decide to buy Factorial, we make a lot of effort to tell them about the benefits of using Factorial, and we tell them how they're going to roll it out and so on, and they just pay us 1 month, which is like nothing. Like the investment we did to capture a customer is a lot more than what we're going to get in the first month. And then it's on us to make sure that this customer is successful and can actually get value from what we promised, so that eventually we can become a profitable customer relationship. So it typically takes between months and years to recover the cost of acquiring customers, so that each customer had positive unit economics, or what is called in the SaaS lingo the CAC payback period. No, so how many months do you take to recover the investment in customers? So the question was, and I'm going to be the first one to answer, what's the business model, right? In our case, we're a pure B2B SaaS. We charge monthly or annually, per employee, per month, or per year fee. What about you guys?
In our case, it's also B2B SaaS, despite the fact that we are creating content, but we bill them annually. And there is the SaaS part and the employer branding part. The SaaS part is the ATS that we have. I'm not going to go in detail. It's an application tracking system, an HR software. Pretty simple, and not to compete with the rest of ATSs in the market, but just for those companies who don't have. And the other part of the product is all the employer branding that we create via all this content that we create for the companies, all these videos and pictures, what we call a company profile. Okay, but we package it all together, we bundle it in one single product. That's why we could consider ourselves partly a SaaS, but definitely we are a subscription-based model on a yearly basis payment.
How much?
It depends on the size of the company.
Ballpark or example customer?
It could go from around 2.
I should know because we're paying.
Sure. Yeah. So it depends also on the country. In France, which is where we come from, and we've been there for more than 5 years. In Spain, I personally launched this less than a year ago, or a year ago right now. We charge from around 2,000 euros for a startup. A year, we're talking about 150 per month if you divide by 12, till 30, 40K for super large companies with lots of employees who are posting their jobs, who have more videos and so on.
What about Qonto?
So in our case, we position a little bit as SaaS, but we have three main revenue streams. The first one is the subscription. So the difference between like B2C neobanks that are like free and then you can upsell to a premium package is that we only have payment users. So since we launched in July 2017, we are now 75,000 customers, and all these customers pay a monthly fee. We also make money out of the revenue that we generate on the payment transactions. And since we issue debit cards that our customers use, we take a very small piece, not from our customers, but from the merchants that they pay from. And the third revenue stream is the partners. So we integrate with different partners, for example, to make Forex transactions. All the Forex fee we share with our operational partner. And this, at the moment, is a very small piece of the revenue. So basically, we don't calculate it as a MRR. It's more like the ARPU that we make per customer. And this generally it's the monthly fee plus the interchange, which is more the variable.
Cool. So, closed-ended question. If you land a customer on average, and this customer leaves after a month, do you make money or you lose money?
In our case, it's impossible that he lives in a month.
Let's say they stop using it after a month. Even if they have an annual commitment, they stop using it after a month.
We would be losing money, but this wouldn't be possible in our model because they pay yearly.
But with the annual payment, you would then
in Spain
recover
in Spain with the annual payment I would say for the mid and large companies for the prices I've told you, we would recover money. For the SMBs, for the startups, with 2,000 euros going and filming in a company in Valencia, Mr. Jeff, and so on, we wouldn't be making money after this first year.
For us, it depends on the product. So we help companies create their business. So if they have created their business, they pay upfront for a year. So for these kind of customers, we never lose money because there's a minimum commitment of 12 months. For the other type of customers, which is an established company, if they leave after a month, for sure we lose money because we give 30 days for free for them to try the platform. And also because for our case, since we are a regulated player, we need to fulfill KYB, KYC, and this has an upfront cost in order to qualify the customer.
Okay, so now we're going to talk about customer journey. So same here. For us, in average, we start recovering the money that we spend in acquiring customers after 5 to 6 months. So if we're not able to retain a customer for at least half a year, each new customer we would get, we would be actually losing more and more money. So it's very important to retain customers, and the first step to retain customers is to activate them, to make them happy customer in the first place. So let's talk about how do we bring customers home? How do they find about us? Is there a sales process? Is it self-service? How long does it take? And then what happens after they sign or pay? Until they have this moment of like, okay, I'm getting value, I'm gonna stay, I'm gonna be a profitable customer, I'm gonna recommend you to others, and so on. Sergio.
Okay, our business model, the nice thing that it has is that we need very little marketing, because the marketing is itself the content that we produce. So all the articles and videos and so on that we produce for the candidates, it's our own marketing. We have a lot of page views and visits to the website. So this is our internal marketing. Of course, it has a cost. We have a lot of journalists producing this content in-house. But we believe that it's a healthy model where we are not paying to a third party to bring us customers, but it's our own cost of people in-house producing this content, what brings most of our traffic. Regarding the clients, as a B2B, we have basically a sales team. And in Spain, as we started less than almost a year ago, we have a small team where we do basically, we don't yet have SDRs, so each sales is hunting their own clients. There's a lot of hunting and so a lot of outbound calls and physical meetings. What we see in the model in the French headquarters is that the more you are known, the more inbound you receive, till a point that it's completely inverted. Right now we are in 95% outbound and already 5% inbound, people hearing about Welcome to Jungle, contacting us, and so on. In France, it's the opposite, and it's the nice thing of the model, where 95% of the leads are inbound. People know about Welcome to the Jungle. We are perceived even as higher position than LinkedIn, despite that we do different things, but we have the job board, which is the only similar part. And that's the nice thing about us, that you can get this inbound, that it's managed by the sales team.
And how does somebody become a customer? Like you said, you have an outbound, phone calls and visits. What happens then? What's the onboarding?
After they have signed the deal, okay, whether...
And paid?
No. In our case, they sign the deal, okay, and then in 24, 48 hours, our onboarding team, which is called exactly like this, the onboarding team contacts them with the first call to appoint a call where we will explain them how do we expect all the shooting that we need to do together at their offices, at their premises, how do we need to do it. So it's a kind of 3 steps. First call to appoint, a second call where we explain everything, so we need 45 minutes to an hour to explain everything, and then it's scheduling a visit to the offices of the company, okay, where our video production team goes and records all the company profile pictures and videos of the managers that we have agreed. Okay? That's the whole customer onboarding process that we have, which ends at the end with the video production team going to each of the clients, recording everything, and then they have 2 or 3 weeks to prepare the whole company profile, which is what you see on our website: Qonto profile, Factorial profile, Globo, Wallapop, Cantox, Buddy, Seat, BNP Paribas, all the clients you want to see, you can see their profile. And just when the profile is live, the day we say, hey, we are going to launch it, then they have to pay. If they don't, we don't put it, because of course they always pay.
Okay. More questions, but for later. What about you?
In our case, it's 100% self-serve. We compete against traditional banks. Generally, when you need to open a bank account for business in a traditional bank, you need to go to the branch office, present a bunch of documents, and it takes between 2 weeks to 3 weeks. In our case, in 10 minutes, you can open your account. And then there's the verification process, which takes 24 to 48 hours, depending on if they have fulfilled all the requirements and so on. In our case, we try to attract customers from the very beginning of the funnel. Obviously, in France, we have a much stronger brand, so there's a lot of people already visiting our site. In Spain, since we need to create this brand, we are investing a lot in content, we are investing a lot in paid acquisition, and then what we need, or what we try, is to explain as good as we can our value proposition at the beginning on the landing page, and they can just jump in Abrir tu Cuenta. And the attractive point is that, they have 30 days for free there, so there's no excuse for not trying. And we make...
And they get a plastic card sent to their office?
Yeah.
During these first 30 days?
Yeah, so basically you have an onboarding process where we ask you all the documents that we need in order to fulfill the KYB and KYC. And then when you finish the onboarding, you sign the contract, obviously. And then the first thing that pops up is to order your card. That people go to the office or to your home if you're a freelancer. And then you select the type of card that you want to have. And generally, you are verified before the card arrives to your place and you can start using the account.
Okay, so before the follow-up question to both of you, briefly about Factorial. We're a mix, actually. So we have all of our customers finding about us via inbound, which means that we write a lot of content about HR. They, learn some stuff on our blog or on our website, and then they try our product. If they're small enough, they're invited to self-serve, which means, just put your credit card and become a customer on your own. If they're larger, they'll get a phone call or some emails from our inside sales team. And then they'll be scheduled a demo and then eventually closed via the phone or video calls. But other than that, it's pretty similar. The follow-up question that I have for both of you, and I'll start myself, is what needs to happen for this customer to be successful after they have, because you both told me the buying process, but not the success of this purchase, right? So in our case, for instance, we do have actually a lot of companies that find about us, sign up, play a little bit with the tool, and never do anything else. They don't become a paying customer. They don't become anything. They're just like noise in the funnel. We do have others that maybe, they're chased by a very successful salesperson and they do become a paying customer, but they still need to do stuff to be, a paying customer that's receiving value. And in our case, it's basically inviting all your employees. There is a trigger moment, which is when the company puts their social credit exposed to all your company, and you press the button, invite all the employees into the platform. Everybody in the company gets a notification saying you've been invited to Factorial. Then you don't usually go back from this, right? Because it's a big company decision to invite everybody. There are companies that don't do that, and that's a failed onboarding, right? So that's what I would like to know from you guys. What is a failed onboarding? What can happen so that this company is not receiving value and potentially can churn or not pay in the case of free trial, or in your case, I guess you said if they don't pay after you produce the video.
Yeah, it's difficult in our case, and I'll tell you, we've never had the case of producing the content and they not paying. I mean, we've been there at their premises and so on. So, and we agree on the visuals and so on before rolling it up live. So this case we don't have it. What I would say, and in our case is different because we don't need them to do anything. One of the things that we sell is that we are a turnkey, llave en mano contract. So we are in charge of everything. We just steal you the 35 minutes from this call from the onboarding team to explain you basically scheduling the visit that we will do, the day, who will we visit, what's their position in the company and so on. Once they have told us this, we just need to go there, interview the people, get back, prepare the videos and so on. The only, and we put it in our platform. So all the content that we create is not for them, although they can use it, but it's to be posted on our platform, on our leading platform in Europe in employer branding, several million visits per month and so on. So it's on our side to put it live in our platform. If we do this, we consider that it's successful. The only, or what helps increasing their satisfaction, if you want to say it like this, would be, for instance, two things. First of all, if they share it on their social media. If they say, hey, we have a profile on Welcome to the Jungle, we see that their employer branding is reinforced because we are not only expanding to our network, but also to theirs. And you can say, wow, but you're asking them to promote your page. No, it's their profile that what we are promoting. And we see many companies saying in LinkedIn, hey, we are already in Welcome to the Jungle. If you want to join, check how are our premises, our culture, our values, because you don't see it anywhere else. And the second point where we could have some friction, but again, it doesn't happen often, is that one of the sections of the profile is the ability to put the jobs that you have live. We push, and this is one of the things that Colleen, our onboarding manager, does, is, hey, if you have open positions, please post them. It will help you. So what we wouldn't like is to have companies with zero, but we understand that sometimes, and with startups it happens, you have certain needs. Wallapop is a client. 2 weeks ago, they had one position open. I checked yesterday, and it was 6. So you have different needs of recruitment at each stage. So it's important for us that they post their jobs, but we also understand that they may not want to post or they may not need to post. We are already delivering a lot of value with the creation of all these videos and materials that showcase their employer branding.
So in our case, I guess it's important to differentiate the number of customers you need to onboard per week or per month. In our case, we onboard thousands of customers, so of course we cannot spend time with each one of them helping them activate. So what we do is to differentiate depending on the package that they use. We have a solo plan, standard plan, and premium plan. For solo and standard users, generally it's marketing automation. So we send them emails. Hey, you need to activate your card. Hey, why do you don't invite your accountant? Hey, why you don't invite the rest of the team members? And for premium customers, which are the ones that the basic plan fee is 99 euros, what we have is an onboarding call with a key account manager. We make sure that they understand the product, that they order the first card, that they invite all these team members to activate their account at Qonto, and then we monitor during the first month if they are doing transactions, if they've done the first income, and so on. What we consider as customers is KYB validated customers. So it's
Can you explain maybe what that is? Maybe not everybody knows.
No, of course. I was about to explain that. So one thing is sign up, someone that has signed the contract, and the other thing is a customer that we can onboard. It can be a fraud. It can be a non-existent company. So basically, we only pay attention to those that are submitted the right documents and the ones that are available to get the service that we are offering. So all the ones that churn at the beginning, it's not real churn, it's people that we would have never onboarded in the first place, and they just completed the funnel. So that's what's more common in our case.
And who owns the onboarding in the organization? In your organization, you said it, you have the onboarding team, so that's pretty clear.
It's a mix. So the onboarding, as based on product, there's a product team that is focused on register. And with them, basically, we understand where are the steps on the funnel that we are losing more percentage of revenue. And then we try to optimize with, for example, integrating a KYC tool that is much more effective, or changing some wording in order to make it more comprehensive on what you need to fulfill. In France, for example, we put the company information by default because we get information from a central database. In Spain, Italy, and Germany, we are working to integrate with an external database in order to fulfill information. But then what the owner of the activation, I would say, for premium customers is the key account manager, and for non-premium customers is the monetization team that basically their job is to do all the marketing automation piece and make these emails in order to increase the activation rate.
So regarding your question about management, I think it's interesting because right now we have an onboarding manager, and what is interesting to say is the learning that we've had that it needs to be under VP of sales, because in the past it was kind of customer satisfaction, and they were they had different bosses in France, let's say like this, VP of sales and customer satisfaction. And now this onboarding team depends on VP of sales, and I think it's very important because we have seen a much better interaction inside the team. So maybe the client does not realize, but if all these companies, these teams, and onboarding is part of sales, and that's what we have understood, if they are together under same management and rules, the team goes much smoother. I'll tell you an example. Sometimes, as we are a B2B, the client, the business developer has sold the package. And then the onboarding teams or the person, or in the past, the customer satisfaction was the one in charge. But sometimes, or very often, it happens that the client calls the guy he has been sold, so the business developer, and he was trying to call this guy. And as they were in different departments, it was very difficult to get this connection. That he was trying to do this call to appoint the schedule of the video shooting and so on. And now that we have the onboarding team as part of the sales team, I think that's a good learning and some best practices that we've seen. It helps in that experience. Probably internally, the client does not see that much value, maybe, but what we see is that internally, this new process and this new structure of management helps a lot talking to each other. And for instance, a business developer knows that once he has signed, if the client calls him, he almost shouldn't reply, or he should address him to this onboarding manager to say, hey, the onboarding manager is from now on your contact person in the company. Please follow whatever she says because it will be right and it's the right process.
So the follow-up question there is, what about renewals, right? Because you're selling annual contracts and you're selling, I guess, both monthly and annuals. We do also both monthly and annuals. Is it the same person in charge of making sure these customers renew, or do you have somebody else handling that?
I'll reply briefly to this one because we are not yet in the renewal phase. We started a year ago. I started selling. I think that the first client was in March because I opened the office in January, February last year. So we are very close to renewal. So we know what's the process. And yes, it's going to be the onboarding person, the one who's going to do the renewal part, which is super important for us. I'm quite confident because at least in France we have 93% conversion rate, so renewal rate. And this 7% is basically startups. Unfortunately, and we have many companies, I've been at Pier 1, I don't know if you know it, they're in Barcelona. So there are many companies who enter for a year, and unfortunately, as the death rate of a startup, it's probably 9 out of 10, it's still being that rate, we lose this 7%. But the rest, the 93%, which means all the companies almost that we have alive, are renewing with us. And that's pretty good figures, I believe.
So for us, we don't do any kind of renewal because there's a monthly fee, and since we are a bank account, if the customer has money in the account, we can take out the monthly fee. So there's no process. I mean, generally in enterprise sales, so you deal with big deals like big annual contract value. You have a renewal process because you want to make sure that when the contract expires after 2 or 3 years, you have signed maybe 100K, 500K. You want to make sure that they renew for a few more years. In our case, it's more a monthly cadence. And as long as they use the product and they have money in their account, it's an automatic payment. So obviously, if they run out of money in the account, is there when we push again with marketing automation, hey, why you don't have money in their account? And especially if it's a premium customer, since it's handled by the key account manager, then we ring them and we try to understand why they are not renewing their monthly fee.
So you do have account managers and,
just for premium plans,
and automation for the self-service customers. Okay, so let's go grab a beer if you want. Thank you so much, Sergio and Carlos. Thank you all for coming. We're doing events here every week. Go check out itnic.net. It's a space where we publish all the events we have. We have a weekly newsletter and so on. If you're not using Factorial, then make sure to speak to your HR manager and recommend them to try it out. Happy to answer questions about it as well. And let's just meet here for a beer before we go for lunch. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.